Hey, what's up, guys? Okay, so today is the final episode of our mini series called Surviving the Crazy Market. You've heard from me with a coach's perspective, and you've heard Isabel Affinito talk about her general perspective on the crazy market. You've also heard her talk about slowing down to gain a competitive advantage. And this week, she's going to open up and share specific examples of how she applies these strategies to her own team. So let's listen in.
Okay, so you have this theory that if this story goes on for too long, then it's going to cause some craziness and buyers might start to change their behavior dramatically. No one has a crystal ball, but I really loved your theory. I think that we could probably historically find evidence for it. So what do you think could happen if we don't, at least try to work this out?
I think it's very likely that a lot of buyers will decide to pause their search.
Hmm.
They'll just say, this is too hard. It's too stressful. It's too unpleasant. I'm tired of getting beat down. I'm tired of, it's like I fall in love with the house and then I lose it. And I fall in love with the house and then I lose it. And I just emotionally, I just can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And they might exit the market. Now, my experience of human behavior is we have this weird way of all mirroring each other.
Mhm.
So when some people start to leave the market, it's probably going to be a lot of them will pause their search around the
Right.
same time. So I was
Right.
just talking to a friend of mine today who she and her husband are relocating to a new city. And she
Okay.
said, we have a virtual tour with our agent in a few minutes. I'm gonna have to hop off the phone. She's showing us a house, Colorado, I think. Showing us a house in Colorado. And she said, you know how the market is right now. It's so tough. We've lost out on a bunch of houses. It's so demoralizing.
Mhm.
And my advice to her was don't give up because I think that in the next few weeks we could very well see these major markets around the US buyers like take a breather for a week or two, and that's
Mhm.
going to be a perfect opportunity for the people who are serious and who persevere to hop in there and pick up reasonable contracts.
Right. That's a really good point because look what we have coming up. We're going to hit, I mean, in a few weeks, we're going to start hitting vacation season.
Mhm.
First we've got spring break, right? At various times around the country. And then we've got, shortly after that, we're going to start hitting summer vacations. If people can travel, I imagine there's going to be more people trying to do that. So we're going to feel
Right.
scattered.
And on top of
It,
that,
we're going to say what, interest rates?
well, no, but I was also
Uh,
going to say if the vaccine gets released at at a higher and higher rate and the
oh, yeah.
cases drop lower and lower and there are people who have not traveled in months or a year, do you think those people are not all going to take their first vacation
Oh,
of
my God.
COVID? Like they're all going to hop on a plane and go to see, this is where everybody does the same thing, right? Everybody's going to get on a plane and
Yeah.
go to Mexico. Everybody's
Yeah.
going to get on a plane and go to Aruba.
I would be there. I would go to Mexico, or I am dying. I have to travel for family business, which is not always the most pleasant, but, I'll tell you, I just getting on the plane and flying I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. And so, okay. So let's not get too, here, I also wanted to add that interest rates could be a part of this, you guys, because
Yes.
interest rates don't have to go up very much to have, at the very least, an emotional, psychological effect on buyers. Now, on first-time buyers, it could have a tangible effect by decreasing the amount that they can afford, and the type of property that they could buy, which then is a domino effect that continues until you get to the super wealthy who don't care about interest rates. But the emotional effect is bigger. So if you have a confluence of these narratives that get sent throughout society, interest rates are going up, and now we can travel, so we're all getting distracted. We've got spring break, and it's a tough market anyway, and there's nothing to buy. So what the hell? Let's just pause and take a break. And then I tell my friend that I'm doing that, and they tell their friend that they're doing that, and then we talk in the gym that, yeah, we called off our home search for a while. We're just going to renew our lease and try again next
Yeah.
year.
Everybody
And
knows it's
that's
a terrible time to buy.
Yep. And so this story gets going. And so your theory is that then that could cause, some irritation right there, or a shift at because of that playing out. So I don't
Right.
know. I guess we don't have a crystal ball, but
Well, and then
it's
we'll
it's
have a whole
it's a
bunch of
really smart.
sellers
Yeah.
who still believe that everything goes multiple offers in the first weekend and that they can ask 20% more than the comps because everybody knows that that's what you do these days or whatever. So
Right.
then they're all in the market, right? And I'm
Right.
not saying it's going to be like this massive shift. I don't think
Right.
so because our inventory is still so low. But then what'll happen is it'll take a couple of weeks for that narrative to get, oh, it's easy to buy now. Oh, it's a good time to buy. Oh, the inventory is going
Right.
up. It's time to buy. And then everybody will hop back in all at the same time because it's what
Yeah, I'm with
we do
you.
as human beings.
Yeah, you're right, and it doesn't. So it and it may not. It probably is not going to be a massive shift. I don't think either of us are saying that, but it doesn't have to be a massive shift for people to act like it is, because again, drama sells, right? And I joke with agents all the time. I'm like, well, be careful what you ask for, because everybody right now is bitching that there aren't any listings, but I can remember several previous times in my career where people would bitch that there were too many listings and not enough buyers. So if it's not one side of the coin, it's the other. And in my point of view, it's like you have to get to a point, if you're going to enjoy real estate long term as a career, where you don't care if it's a buyer's market or a seller's market, but that you develop the ability to just describe the market in those terms to inform you and your clients about what you're up against. But you can enjoy the market and you can make good money in every market. But those descriptors of buyers or sellers markets just tell you how you have to structure your moves when you enter the market. So how are you then coaching your team to you and I can record a video like this, and we can spread it as far and wide as we possibly can to influence other people to help them disconnect from these limiting beliefs. But what are you doing with your team right there in Austin, Texas? Because you can directly help them overcome all this.
Sure. So there are several things that I'll go through. One is that just the basic expectation that we should be starting with all of our clients with a serious consultation. Right?
Cool.
It does not make sense to start running around the market with a buyer or a seller
Hmm.
doing any work together without making sure that you have slowed down at the beginning to get super clear on what are we here to accomplish together and what does it look like for us to team up.
Cool.
And I know that there's a lot of agents who resist that because they believe that, oh, buyers won't sign buyer representation agreements, or, in
Hmm.
this market, sellers won't sign, full commission agreements. You have to cut your commission
Right.
or whatever. I mean, all these narratives that go around, right? Which, exist in all markets.
Right. And they're never true, no
And they're
matter
never
what the
true.
market.
They're never true. So for my team, that's just a basic requirement for all of us, that we're not running around spending time with clients that aren't clients, right?
Hmm.
There's a specific thing that means that you're a client. It means that we have signed an agreement to work together. That's
Yep.
that client. So first of all,
Yep.
getting clear on what your job is and what a client is. The second thing that I would say is that I'm constantly coaching my team about thinking through if then scenarios, that it
Hmm.
is a big part of our job to think strategically and to help our clients think strategically.
Hmm.
The third thing that I would throw out there is that time off is really important. So there's a woman on my team who I'm coaching with right now as she's
Right.
making some plans for the rest of the year. And we've been talking about time off. She was previously a coach for like triathletes. And so I
Oh,
was talking to her about how she would build her plans for them. And she mentioned that rest days are really important and that a lot of athletes at that level will resist rest days because they believe, oh, it's fine. I don't need a rest day. Like I'm going to do an extra workout or whatever.
right. Right.
And
Right.
and I asked her, well, what happens when people ignore you and they do that? And she said they injure themselves and then they never get to do the Ironman.
Mm.
So the other thing that I think is incredibly important in every market, but specifically in markets where people keep talking about how crazy it is to
Hmm.
take a day off. Because if you don't take time for yourself to do self-care, to spend time with your family, to regain some perspective that like this is not life and death, right? This is real estate, to take that time to pause so that you can be calm and cool and collected and have the right energy for your clients. Because
What
if
would
you
you well,
go ahead.
what would you say to a team member who came to you and said, "But Isabel, I can't take a day off because what if my buyer calls me and found a house and like I don't answer the phone, and then I might lose a client because they wanted me to show them this house and I have to,
Mhm.
because otherwise it's gone."
Right. That becomes a coaching conversation about how to prepare your clients in advance, how
Hmm.
to draw boundaries, how to communicate clearly with people, how to plan ahead. Because if, in my opinion, if you have set up your business so that you are a single point of failure and people need to be able to reach you on a few minutes or a few hours notice all the time, then what you've set up is you've set up a business that's very fragile.
Hmm.
Because what if you get sick? What if you suddenly have more clients than you expected to have at the same time and you can't answer every question personally, right?
Mhm.
So it's really a conversation about, okay, talk to me about why you feel like you can't take a day off. What specifically do you believe is going to happen? What specifically happened last week that you felt like you had to deal with? I find that these types of conversations tend to be really about the specifics, because we can talk generalities all day long, but I think the
Right.
most effective way to get to the heart of this problem is, okay, talk to me about last week. If you had to
Yeah.
answer 4 or 5 emails last week, what were they? What
Mhm.
was in that email? Why did you feel like you had to answer it?
Mhm. And so what you do then is you will pick out individual situations from the recent past that you can then spin around as lessons for moving forward.
Absolutely.
I love that. And learn just incrementally, case by case, until that person feels comfortable holding their boundaries,
Mhm.
empowered to hold their boundaries. And I'm sure you do this with your team because we've worked on it constantly, you and I. And that is that a lot of times you can't, you know, if someone is listening to this and you've got a client that's crossing your boundaries constantly and demanding that you do certain things, oftentimes it's very difficult to fix that scenario, that situation, if you've already taught them that it's okay to treat you that way. So sometimes
Mhm.
you just have to finish that client out and get them closed and make sure that every time moving forward you take in a new client, you set a new set of standards, a new set
Mhm.
of boundaries, and then of course make sure that you hold them,
Yeah.
because the second you let the client cross them, they'll continue
Mhm.
cross them, right? So okay.
And as we're talking, I just had another insight
Hmm.
about this, which is that this whole conversation with agents on my team is again about slowing down. It's, it's our job to help our buyers and sellers slow down so that they can make good decisions. And it's my job to help my team slow down so that they can make good
Hmm.
decisions for their buyers and their sellers. Because when it's like, well, I just haven't been able to take a day off in weeks because it's just been so crazy. It's like, okay, well, so we need to slow down in advance of next week, right? We're going to prepare in advance for next Tuesday or whatever.
Hmm.
So we're going to stop and take time that we're pretty sure we don't have. It's always
Right.
relative, right? So we're going to carve out time to think strategically. I mean, it's the same thing, right? It's all this stuff is the same stuff because it's all just human psychology.
Right.
We're going to do if then scenarios. We're going to make sure you're clear on why you're taking that day off. I mean, it's the same stuff. It's just just from a different angle.
Yeah, it sure is. A lot of people, I think, are surprised when they get into real estate, specifically the type of real estate we practice in America, where everybody is self-employed, independent contractors. And if you're listening and you don't know, it's not like that all over in other parts of the world. But here it is, and it seems to evoke a certain amount of personal growth. Like it's like if you decide to be self-employed, it's one thing, but if you're going to be self-employed and be a salesperson in the real estate industry, you may not realize it, but you're going to be hit right in the face with a bunch of personal issues that you're going to have to dig deep and do some personal work, right, in order to thrive and enjoy your career. So, and I know we've both given talks about these topics a lot. But everyone who's watching this is on my email list, and so they know how to reach me. But if someone wanted to reach out to you, just to, for a follow-up question on a comment that you made, or hopefully to reciprocate by sending you a referral when they have a buyer or a seller looking to make a move in Austin, Texas, what's the best way to reach you?
Sure. So the best way to reach me would be my email, which is
Hmm.
isabel@spyglassrealty.com. You can put that like in the comments somewhere, notes
I'll
somewhere.
put it in I'll put it everywhere, and I'll put your Instagram and social media so they can
Okay.
check out pictures of Anthony. You guys, her son Tony, his full name is Anthony, so I call him Anthony. And I heard him in the background. It's like, I don't know. I know you wanted it to be quiet, but we'll do this again because I know we're going to get follow up requests, and we'll maybe, if you're cool with it, do a guest appearance with Mr. Anthony.
Okay. That sounds good to me. I just, he's contented a lot of the time, but the new thing with being a mom is that I never know when he's just going to start screaming. So
Oh
like,
yeah,
it's just what I'm dealing with. Oh, can I tell a story real quick?
yeah. Please do.
So I was on the phone with a potential buyer the other day who was going to buy a new construction property from us. So one of my team members was out with a family thing. And so I was covering for her and making that appointment. And he
Hmm.
needed to go through the contract. He was like ready to buy it. He just wanted to talk through this new construction contract. So I'm on the
Right.
phone with him setting up this appointment, and I have Anthony in my lap. And I have on my earbuds. So, the microphone is like right here. So I'm
Right.
sitting cross-legged on the bed and I have Tony right here. and Tony begins to have one of the biggest, like the biggest blowout. If you don't know what a blowout is, it's where they crap all outside of their diaper. So he starts having like the biggest blowout he's ever had. And I'm on the phone with this person, and in the background, it's like all of these noises. And also, like, I feel warm and liquid. So like there's poop running down my leg, and like all over, like it's all soaking into my leggings, and it's all over my ankles, and it's all over like the bedspread. So I'm on the phone with this person. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, my infant is having a gigantic blowout at the moment. But how's Wednesday at 3? So the guy's like, yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna let you go and deal with whatever that is. I've gotten to this point as a new mom where I'm like, okay, so I got off the phone with him. I was like, I better write down this appointment before I forget. So I just spent a couple more seconds literally in the shit so that I could be like, Wednesday at 3, add to calendar, task for tomorrow. Okay, let's go handle this now.
Let's go get in the shower. Oh my God, that is amazing. That is like the best ending to any of these Sunday videos that I'll ever get. So thank you for that. All right, everybody. So I want you to reach out to Isabel for all of your Austin, Texas referrals, and any follow-up questions that you have, you can talk to either myself or Isabel. We'll both be happy to follow up with you on this topic.
Okay, gang, so that's the end of our series. I trust if you watched all 4 episodes, you feel more empowered and inspired to get out there and thrive no matter what the market is doing. And if you missed any of the episodes, they're all on the blog. And of course, you can go deeper on topics like this by grabbing a copy of The Top Producer Life. Just search the title on Amazon or go to topproducerlife.com. Thanks for watching, guys. My name is Jason Edwards. Now get out there and build your own Top Producer Life.